Welcome, everyone, to the IATC Exchange Zone podcast. Big Monday here on a Monday night. Weird timing. There's some meets that are just wrapping up across the state. Some got canceled. But thanks for your flexibility and patience in letting us move this to Monday. Kyle, I just landed in Des Moines at 1:31 a.m. or
Oh,
1:30 a.m. and running on fumes here. So I've got my coffee, made it through the school day. Do I look any tanner?
you do? Were you
Okay.
down south?
No, we were in California in
Oh,
Palm
all right.
Springs. So
Nice, lucky.
had a
And
nice
it's
little
probably just
trip.
as hot here.
Yeah, yeah, until today. Today was a shock.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and your dad was at our meet tonight, so I'm sure he'll tell you what a experience it was. It was cool. Like, it was a muddy mess. So, just I don't know. I think we're so used to a lot of like flat courses and golf courses and things like that. So just to have a meet where the kids throw time out the window, just have fun. I mean, there was kids slipping, sliding in the mud after the race. Just I don't know. I think maybe just a fun environment that you're just not used to during the regular season or postseason. So fun night over at North Polk, I would say for some.
That does sound like fun. So tonight we have just a interesting setup here. Kyle just got home from a meet, and Brock is remote from his home producing the show. That just tells you how crazy technology is these days. And I'm here in the studio solo. So it's kind of scary in here, guys. I can't lock the door. What happens if someone comes in and interrupts the show? But it's okay. We'll be fine. But there's our schedule for the show tonight. And if you saw in our advertising of this episode, we're going to have a big segment on what if the state meet was today, and take a look at all four classes and where we think both teams and individuals might stack up in this state meet, especially at the top for that state championship. Kyle has another good random thought that he's been thinking about over the last week. Tons of meet recaps. And of course, our tonight's schedule is sponsored by ST1 Sports. And that is a company that's going to be, I think, a big part of Iowa high school track and field, maybe a little bit of cross country. Mentioned it last week. The old the old company with Bruce Whiting, B&W Enterprises, has dissolved, and ST1 Sports, led by Matt Stone, is now taking over the Midwest territory here, and specifically in Iowa as well. So your needs for track and field equipment, um, both for training purposes, hurdles, high jump pits, you name it, anything that involves equipment, implements, batons, uh, blocks, all of that stuff. Matt Stone at ST1 Sports is your guy here in the state of Iowa, and his email is on the screen there at matt@st1sports.com. We are limited on screens here, so I apologize if I'm looking at my phone. I'm using this to follow along some of our script, but my computer's running the production, and then we have an iPad in the studio. So moving on down in our script here for tonight's show, we've got another big advertisement. The Washburn State Middle School meet is coming up, and man, it is fast approaching. One of the top events of the year, cross country wise, in the state of Iowa. This is the Washburn Cross Country Classic, hosted at Centennial on Saturday, October 18th. This is a destination event for most middle school programs. 8th grade and 7th grade is offered at this meet. And, if you think about the significance of this meet, I think sometimes we underestimate the significance of this meet. If you go back and look year after year after year, and then go look at the high school results at the state meet, it's almost a carbon copy. Now, it might not be the order of place, which we've talked about before, because cross country is such a unique sport and kids can get a lot better over 5 years. But the names are almost the same. Really a big deal.
Agreed. We ran it in junior high. It was fun. It was a awesome road trip across the state, and the shameless plug is you're more likely to get included in our way too early rankings by running that meet. I
Yeah.
I try throughout the year, and I'm sure you do the same to look through junior high results. Uh, but it's a lot easier when they run this one, and it's one meet that we can pick out. So if you're on the fence about it, I strongly encourage you to get signed up.
Yes, and you can access the meet information packet as Brock's showing here on the screen. Thank you, Brock, by going to the IA Track Coaches website, clicking on cross country at the top of the screen, and then hitting Washburn Classic. There's the meet info packet. Registration information is right there in the middle as well. And Eric Cogdale is the meet director for this competition, does a great job. It's at Centennial's campus. It runs all day long. I think 9 or 10 is the first race. And coaches, just don't forget because that deadline is going to be fast approaching. So check out the Washburn Cross Country Classic. Kyle, you've got a cool story to share this week. Last week's Riverside story had some good positive feedback from some spectators and other coaches throughout the state, and you've got another story as well.
Yeah, I think just the opportunity to promote kids that aren't necessarily ranked in the state or things like that that we can share. And I think it's just a good opportunity for me to share one of my own kids on our girls team. She has a health diagnosis that she is required to have back surgery. She has been running with insane back and hip pain for the last 2 years probably, and got the diagnosis during track season that she needs to have back surgery. And the warrior that she is, she says, I'm waiting until after cross country. I want to have one last hurrah with cross country. It sucks. It's going to interrupt her track season, but Bethany Girton is her name for the Blue Jays. She's a senior for us. Just a rock solid kid. You can tell so many meets. She's like just in tears or near tears because she's in so much pain, and to want to do that for her teammates, to go out there and be a varsity contributor for us, just means the world to me. And I'm sure Coach Dewey, you have, those are things that you remember along the way. I'm definitely newer to the head coaching realm, but just those are things that stand out. Those are kids you want in your team. And and that's the stories that we want to share. We see the kids that finish top 10 at meets or top whatever their teams. The more stories that we can share like that. So please send those because those are things that I think that we'd like to share more on the podcast.
That's awesome. Great story, Kyle. And if you have a story as a coach or a parent that you would like to for us to share on the show, we'd love to have you reach out to us. And we always keep anyone that reaches out to us confidential because I think that's important that at least who reaches out. But we would love to hear more stories like that. And that's you're exactly right. More than the success and the gold medals or the trophies or the state qualifying banners, it's those stories like your athlete that will always stick with you. And I think that's just a really neat message there. So thanks for sharing that, Kyle. Let's move on to the interactive chat question tonight. And this is a good one. Jim Dewey from the Girls Union was on last week, and we had just a really wonderful 25-minute conversation with him and got an idea of some of his vision as he begins his job at the Girls Union. And Kyle and I thought off of that, we're looking to continue to help promote the sport as well. And I think, the Girls Union, the Boys Association are also open and in the conversation to looking at what can we do to continue to enhance the state meet experience. So that's tonight's quick chat question. What is something that can enhance the state meet experience? Obviously, the hot button topic is that live stream, and I think we're really close to that. It sounds like, but as our guest last week said, I think this is going to be a year with him and Tyler being new at this role. to sit back, analyze, take notes, come together after the season and figure out how to get uh, that done for sure, and maybe some other ideas. But if you have uh, something that can enhance the state meet, put it in the chat. Kyle, you got anything?
That's definitely the one that comes to mind. And there's so many things. Like we have such a great state meet. I do miss there's parts of me where I miss the old one day,
I
everybody out there
That's
on
what I
one
was going
day.
to say. Yep.
Like, it's difficult to come, if we don't rate, if we're the day after or the second day, I'm not going to go up the day before. And if we're the first day, it's, you're kind of tired from that first day to go back up the next day. So, especially if you're coming from different parts of the state, but, you know, it's, that's probably the two biggest things right there is the, live stream. Like, yes, we want people there in person, but the people that can't make it, or for us that it's difficult to get up for the second day, that piece would be nice too.
Yeah. And I think we're really close to seeing that breakthrough with the live stream. And Fort Dodge presents a very difficult challenge for that live stream for multiple reasons. We all know about the cell phone service isn't the best out there, but you know what's remarkable about that? The state softball tournament, I was up there this year and the service is great and it's less than a mile from that course. So I don't know if there's a barrier that maybe just outside that window that doesn't reach quite to the cross country course. And then the airport throws in a curveball is, with the federal regulations of drones near airports. I know that's been a big hurdle for them to climb over the last couple years as they first started looking into it. So that would be something that I think over the next couple years we're going to see everyone having like audio only broadcast would be awesome. Says David R&R. I agree. I'd love to take our show up there. I just don't know how if that's possible for multiple. You got internet. Uh, I'm a teacher, so I'm not sure I can get out for a day there on Friday. I could be there Saturday. You're coaching. Brock's got like 7 jobs, so I don't know if we'd be able to get him up there, but he might be able to do it remotely. I don't know, but I think that would be fun too if we had a booth up there, near the finish line, and that's something that Kyle and I have talked about. It's just can we make it work, and put a good product together? So warmer weather, absolutely. Cross your fingers.
And
So
some cold days up there.
Yes, there's been some cold days. All right, let's go to Kyle's random thoughts, and this is another good one. I think we've talked about this before, maybe once or twice over the years, Kyle. But I know you did some research here, and we're gonna bring it back up. So, what are your random thoughts this week?
Well, I'm sure people are starting to get scared seeing this as a weekly segment. Like, oh no, what's he got coming next? And it is something we brought up. And after this, I'll talk about the jersey behind you. But it's that uh, dilemma of what's going on with 1A. Just because you want that competitive balance, you want opportunities for all these kids, and just one meet this week. It had 12 teams listed at the Bill Bales invite, but only 5 had a team score.
Hmm.
And, even, we've talked about, does 4 make it any better? I have, and I think Madison did some research on that. But if you go to crosscountryratings.com and on paper, there should be I believe 149 boys schools and 161 girls. Only 100 of those 149 boys schools have had a scoring team this year. And even scarier on the girls side is only 66 of those 161 have had a scoring team at a meet this year. And we've talked, like New Fonda, we know has a bunch of girls that play multi-sports. Some of the best, girls like Lily Denton are playing multi-sports. So it's just, the question I think is, what to do with 1A, but, with only 66 schools, like, and you're taking 18 to the state meet, like if you can put 5 together, you have a really good shot. So, it's it's tough, and I'm sure there's, people that have ideas, and I'd be curious what other states are doing of similar size. But that's my random thought for today, I suppose.
That's a really good one, and I wish we would have asked uh, last week that question. I didn't even ponder because your thoughts were elsewhere last week with your Kyle's random thoughts, but this is a good one, and this is something that I think as the IATC over the next off season, maybe we as an organization can help drive some of these conversations. Because I do think this starts with the coaches association. I'm not quite sure this is at the state level. You got those advisory committees. Maybe there needs to be a year of like analyzing really the numbers and then also getting feedback and then going to the state association and saying, here's the information and all of that stuff. But I think 66 out of 161, that is not good
No, it is not.
for the girls in 1A.
Compares to of years past.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's a really good topic. And I'd be curious if you're a coach listening to, send us an email. And you can always reach out to us. bdewey@walkieschools.org and Kyle's is what's your email, Kyle?
WagnerK@bfschools.org.
Yep. Reach out to us and I have a year left, little less than a year left to being the president here at the IATC, and this is something that I would really like to help with here as we go into the off season and see, why are those numbers so low? So good stuff. All right, Kyle, behind me, and I'm in your chair tonight, by the way. And I told Brock before the show starts, you're a little hard on the headphones. I'm not sure what you've got going on here, but they're ripping.
I didn't. I haven't been. Oh, I guess I was there the one time. I have no idea.
Well, behind
not
us,
sure.
we have this uniform here, the Nevada Cubs. And I'm trying to get it into the shot there, but go ahead and tell us about this gem of a uniform made by Van Ginkels.
All right. So yes, big thanks to Coach Mills at Nevada, and obviously all he does for the cross country ratings website. Started, I think he gave me the jersey a while ago and sent that video. I don't know if we have it to play of the cross country relay for homecoming. I know a lot of schools do that, and they recently started that with I think in 2021 they did it with Gilbert, but they've done it from Hampton, Knoxville, Clear Lake, and they already have their next year's homecoming game figured out, which I have no idea how. But they think it'll be Williamsburg, which will be about a 96-mile trip. I think it was Clear Lake this year at 84 miles. So just that's going to be a haul. That might be a 2-dayer for the Nevada cross country team. But the program started in 1946. They were second of 3 teams at the state meet in Iowa City, and at that time it was a 1.9-mile race. The highest boys team finish was second in Class 2A when there was 3 classes in 1996, after coming in third in 1995. They've had 1 girl state champion, Val Altman, in 2A in 1996. She was also runner-up in 1995. And then since state qualifying started in 1976, they have qualified 14 times with an additional 13 years of individual qualifiers. The legendary, a lot of people will know this name, Dr. E. Wayne Cooley, coached the boys team to that state Class B team mile race in 1947. And some other notable Nevada alums, Joe Toot, class of 1966, starter. He's a starter. Greg Blank is another starter, 1985. And past IATC president Larry Parker. He was the head coach from 1979 to 2004. So a lot of history in the Nevada uniform there. And a big thank you again to Coach Mills for getting that to me. I was checking my backpack tonight to give it back to him at the meet. I was like, I don't have it. Clearly it's with you, and I won't get it back to him until a different meet. So thank you, James.
Thanks, James, for sending that in. Nevada is a really neat town. They just off of Ames. I mean, less than what is it? About 5 miles,
Yeah, maybe 7.
5 to 8 mile range. There always have good athletes coming through the town and some good teams. Football. They play good football there. They've had good basketball there. As you mentioned here in cross country, track and field running has been good as well. And just a neat town there right off of Highway 30. And Coach Mills does a really good job with that program as well. So, and they host a cool cross country meet out at that. I think it's Hickory Ridge is what it's called.
Hickory Grove.
Hickory Grove. Huge loop around beautiful scenery, ponds, and walking trails and prairie grass, and it's just a really nice setting. All right, let's go to the Monday move. Well, it's already Monday. So we have the results of some of the biggest movers, and it's sponsored by the Speed and Performance Academy. Look at this graphic here that that the coaches there, led by Coach Josh Maxwell, has sent in to us, and there is their social pages on the bottom. And we're thankful for their partnership with the ITC Exchange Zone. But the Speed and Performance Academy in Cumming, Iowa, just south of Des Moines, and they're up and running here in the early part of August, and they do a really good job in helping athletes improve, primarily in the off season between cross and track, but also in the summer and the fall, especially with younger athletes that maybe aren't in high school. But those are some of their building blocks right there. Their key areas: speed and acceleration training, form and mechanics, some block work, strength training, track and field specific, cross country specific strength training, and then power and plyometrics. Then the big one there on the bottom, the hot button topic around the distance running world, lactate testing. They do it all at Speed and Performance Academy. Check them out in Cumming. So, Kyle, the Monday move. We had some big movers this week, none bigger than the Prairie City Monroe girls team. 8 to number 3 in Class 2A, and they finished just 7 points behind West Marshall, which we will cover in a while at their meet last week at Nevada. And we haven't seen Darby Durad since September 2nd, and she's their number 3 runner, 8th last year at the state qualifying meet. I think if Prairie City Monroe can get her back into this lineup, they're going to have a shot, and maybe they'll be mentioned coming up here on what if the state meet was today. Next up, we've got the Tipton boys. We haven't talked about Tipton, Kyle, in quite some time. But they had a nice move from 14 to 10 this past week after a solid 6th place finish at Williamsburg. You were at that meet. You're going to talk about it in a while. But led by senior Caleb Bowman. It's hard to believe the Bowmans are about done in Tipton. But he does a good job leading the Tigers. Next up, Wapsie Valley. Kyle, they got hot at this time last year, went from non-ranked to a qualifying team, and here they go again up there in northern Iowa. Wapsie Valley goes from 18 to 14 on the girls' side, and of course they're led by I'm blanking on her name, Adeline Kane, the sophomore from Wapsie Valley. But they had a nice race this week at Jesup, and all 4 of their top 4, so their top 4 are all underclassmen for Wapsie Valley. So we'll be watching out for them in the future. And then last year, we've got Sioux Central, the girls. They go from 9 to 5 in the IATC rankings. They had a double meet win last week. They won 2 in a week. Both of their meets were last week at Alta and Pocahontas area. They're led by Sage Weber. Their top 5 is deep. This might be the deepest 1A girls team, Kyle, in all of the field. This is the number 1 ranked team on ccratings.com in Class 1A. We'll see if we talk about them here in a little bit. What do you think of that?
I didn't think we'd see like this much movement this late in the season. At kind of this point in the year, a lot of it's pretty settled. I almost thought we'd be done with this segment by the time we got to October, but there's still teams finding ways to improve. over the last couple of weeks of the season and putting themselves in good spots as we near the postseason. So just wild, and 8-3 for Prairie City Monroe. We have two new number ones, like just unexpected.
Absolutely. Let's go to Welcome to the Zone. And you mentioned this young athlete earlier in the week. Yeah, you saw him run, didn't you, at Williamsburg from Clear Creek?
I think they had a home meet
Oh, they were
early in
at
the
the
week.
Clipper Classic. You're right. Sorry. But yeah, let's
Yeah,
start with Carson.
he ran lights out this week. Carson Meiskaman, I apologize if pronunciation is wrong, but of Clear Creek, Amana, won his home meet in 16:52. It was his second victory on the year, and then wham, what a meet up at Wartburg. Eighth place in an absolute loaded field. The Clippers ran amazing up there. They're looking really strong heading into October here. So big race for him, big race for the Clippers.
Yeah, he's running really well. He's gotten himself all the way up to number 8 in Class 3A in this most recent rankings today by the IATC. Aaliyah Kazi, Center Point Urbana, the Storm and Pointers. And she ran 1917 for CPU and was runner up to a really good Lauren Krogman at Jesup. But then she came back, won at Independence. She is 58th at the state meet last year, currently ranked 14th in Class 3A. So keep your eye on for Aaliyah Kazi of Center Point. Next up, we've got Barrett Barrett Jessina of South Tama, second at Williamsburg. He's been in the top 4 every meet this year. Really good stat there, Kyle. Thank you for providing that, except at Wartburg, which he still ran well at
Right.
Wartburg.
Oh yeah, still ran very well.
Yep.
I got to see him in person at Williamsburg, so he ran a smart race, outstanding race, but uh, great week for him with his double meet. Another big week was Zach Ryan of Davenport Central, 10th at Wartburg, currently number 18 in 4A for Davenport Central. Welcome to the zone, Zach.
Do you have a dog eating you right now?
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Hang on. Are you?
It's fine. I was just like,
Then he just,
I
yeah,
wonder what
he's
the
doing
noise was.
he's doing a tornado game back now. Now he left, so I don't know. He's a unique dog.
Well, he's just happy to see you. You've been gone all day, so
Yeah.
that's good. All right, last one, and this is a big one. How about this? I had this planned earlier in the week, and then I've seen her just come on as the season goes on. Now, this is a name that everyone's familiar with in track and field. Haven't talked a lot about her in cross country, but Kira Anderson of Gilbert. And then, fitting we're doing this tonight. What happened tonight?
Well, I was a long way away. That course was a muddy mess, so I didn't get out very far. But I believe she won the North Polk meet
She won the
over
North
Laura
Polk
Strick.
meet over Laura
And
Streck.
we talk all the times, throw time out the window when championship racing comes. You like place is what matters. And tonight, not a lot of teams ran varsity or their full varsity lineups. So I think it was a good test for a lot of kids that, next week, weather could be crappy, state qualifying, it could be state, it could be. So
Mhm.
to get that under your belt and, having to be able to race in tough conditions is a sign of a championship level runner, and she showed that off tonight.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this last month goes for Kira. She blew up in track, Kyle. I mean, blew up. 3-event state champion in Class 3A for the Gilbert Tigers, including that 800 where she came out of nowhere, really. I mean, she ran a good season, but I don't think anyone thought going into that state meet she'd come out as the 800 champ. She won it in 2:13. This is a really good recruit for the state of Iowa. I think she's a Division I runner. Uh, Cross, and now or in track, and now she's showing the 5K is within her wheelhouse as well. So, good one there with Kira Anderson of Gilbert. All right, let's get to our main segment of the show. What if the state meet were today? Let's go to Class 4A first. And on the left, so here's how this is going to work. I'm just going to go through what kind of we see as contenders, maybe a dark horse, and this is just for the state championship. Obviously, we could get into contenders for podium spots and all that. We'll do that as we get closer to this meet. But if it were today, here's kind of how we see, and Kyle hasn't seen these yet, so he might have some more to add. We just texted a little bit about it over the last few days. So starting with the girls' side, I think we have 3 clear contenders. I think any of these 3 teams on any given day could win the state meet. I do think Pleasant Valley has a small edge right now. They've proven to beaten everyone so far. They've beaten Johnston, they beat Pella, which you'll talk about later. They have not seen Northwest yet, but I think these 3 teams on any given day could win the state championship in 4A. It's Johnston, Northwest, and Pleasant Valley. Obviously, Johnston has the head-to-head on Northwest, although not a full strength Northwest at Marshalltown. And PV has the head-to-head on Johnston from Pleasant Valley, but Johnston was not at full strength. So we haven't seen these teams all go head-to-head healthy. Dark horse section, Kyle, I almost didn't put anyone down. I just think there's a huge gap with these 3 teams. However, anything can happen. Centennial has been close at times to Northwest. They just haven't raced the loaded schedule that some of these teams have. We'll see what they do this week at Fort Dodge, but I think they're a dark horse along with City High. But that gap is pretty significant in my opinion, from 3 to 4. Individually, I think it's a 3-girl race. Gall, Jolie Sullivan, after this weekend winning the big
Yep.
Wartburg race, and then the defending champ, I don't think we can leave her out in Piper Messerly. Any thoughts there on the girls?
Maybe, with those dark horses, if you're going to include 2, maybe including Senior in that conversation. They ran very well.
Yep, they're getting better.
And like you talked about healthy, what can Johnston scrap together here in the next month? If they can get full strength, full squad healthy that we know, they can be scary good. But the rest, I think you hit it all. Yeah, I think you hit it all.
Yeah, those 3 teams match up so similarly with
Mm-hmm.
Malage, Sundit, and Woodley. And then they all have really strong 2s with Foad. Northwest, can go several ways with number 2. And then PV's got, or Johnston's got several options at 2. It's going to be an interesting race. Johnston and Northwest will race Thursday along with Centennial. So that'll be a good test to see if we were accurate there. On the boys' side, Kyle, I think it's 2 contenders, and they're very clear right now. Cedar Falls, Indianola. You can never count out the Dowling Catholic Maroons. They haven't had a full squad for a while. We'll see if they put it all together. This is usually the time, Fort Dodge, where they start to string it together, and this is why you always pick Dowling Catholic down the stretch. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about them. And then Cedar Rapids Prairie. I mean, we've talked about them all year. They're just lurking, and they just are always there. So I don't think we can count them out. And then on the individual side, I really think it's a 2-person battle, and there's so many good runners, but I think it's going to be a Decker-Merrick duel.
Yeah, you mentioned Dowling's dark horse. I think it's just like automatic. You have to, and definitely, I think a lot of the guys, what we've seen, it's possible. Indianola looked really strong. Obviously, they have all year. Looked really, really, really good at Wartburg. I can't think of any other teams off the top of my head. I mean, Pleasant Valley or DCG Pleasant Valley, I feel like is just, like Prairie lurking. But I think that you're right, spot on with those 2. Individually, I think this field's too good to only include 2. So much can happen. We've seen what Gutema can do. Preston Johnson has ran pretty dang awesome. Crossland's pretty good too, but I would maybe expand it to 4 with Merrick, Decker, Johnson, and Gutema. I think if you run it 10 times, each one could win it at least twice. So that's going to be a very, very exciting individual race.
and
We'll get to
Wiley.
3A boys too, but Wiley, yeah, Wiley's a stud
Um,
too.
I don't think it's going. I mean, this is going to be a pack race, and we'll analyze it later. But these two are not going to pull away by any stretch. There's too many good runners. I'm thinking down 800 to go. I just think who's going to separate. I agree with you. It could be any of those guys. Uh, so it'll be interesting to see. Merrick, the two-time runner-up, see if he can get over the top this year. Let's go to 3A. This one was easy, Kyle. This one took me about 1 minute to make this graphic.
Hmm.
uh, on the girls' side, I don't think you can put a dark horse down. Although Sioux Center is having an unbelievable season. And this is a team that if Pella's not in their glory days right now and they're just lighting it on fire, this is a Sioux Center team that could win a state championship in other years. Same with Mount Vernon, possibly. But I just
And Des
don't see
Moines
him.
and
And Des Moines
throw Des
Christian.
Moines Christian.
I just don't think. I mean, I just don't. Even if a couple girls went down for Pella, as they didn't run their 1 and 2 this week, and they were just fine in 3A. So, anything to add there on the team side?
Uh, no, you covered it all pretty strongly.
Yep. And I think we both have agreed all year they're a lock for us. Individually, I think this is going to be a tightly contested race. I think Farabee, Hardin of Makokata, and Brenneman of Pella. I put those 3 down. I think there's some others that if they really have a good day, they could possibly get in there. It's gonna be tough to beat Farabee, the two-time defending champ, but her margin of victories this year have not been as large, so I do think that brings into the field or brings some other girls into the mix. Izzy Harden's a fascinating one, Kyle. She ran 2.5 miles right with Charlie Gall the other day, just couldn't finish it, so I'm anxious to see, what can she do in this race? She won Heartland. Um, but yeah, what do you think there?
Yeah, it's it's so hard to say. And this week was a little goofy too. I think a lot of people did double meets. When we get to the state meet, you're going to
Yep.
have over a whole week. A lot more going fresh. You're going to have different weather. So a lot of different things can happen. Like Evelyn Moeller ran really, really well this week. Fedler's a different class in 4A, but Arizin as well. But I think you're spot on with these three. I think Izzy is I don't want to say a dark horse, but probably I call it a sleeper pick to win the title. But these three are that you have listed there all so incredibly talented. But that's going to be individually a great race too.
Then on the boys' side, uh, lock. I mean, Gilbert. I don't see a dark horse really as good as Mount Vernon and Pella have shown to be at times this year. Hasn't necessarily been consistent, but they've shown some spurts of brilliance. It's just Gilbert is on the mountaintop right now, and it's just I just don't think they can overcome that.
Right. They'll probably have three in the top six again. Like that is very tough to beat. Uh, it's it's so scary because how like Pella is insanely good. Mount Vernon
Mhm.
Lisbon is insanely good. This is just a team currently on a different level. Now, crazy things can happen. The state meet, that's why we run the races. But on paper, you can't pick any other team besides Gilbert, and it's just incredible how good they are. We saw what they did against some great 4A competition, like same thing with the Pella boys and what they did up at Gilbert this week. But uh, you know, if the state meet were ran today, yes, your pick is still absolutely Gilbert.
Individually, the race of the weekend. Nauman, Dunham, 10 pass. I put those 3, and that's what I would think today, how the order would finish. Um, we just haven't seen 10 pass a lot this year, but he just tore up that Southeast Polk course the other day, and that's one of the hardest courses and most rugged courses around. He is really running well. Dunham was incredible at Wartburg. And then obviously Nauman has been sensational all season. This is the race of the weekend. This might be the race of the decade. Could be one of the best races in the history of the state meet. I mean, I wish we could watch it 10 times.
I think it will be, and I think August 1, this probably would have been a lock. But just with the way some of these guys
Yeah.
are running, Dunham looked incredible up at Wartburg. 10 pass, you just talked about him. Blake has beat Dunham this year. Now, I know that was a few weeks ago up at Gilbert, but, you know, I don't think now you're going to have an incredible finish on that,
Yeah.
to take down Quentin, like without question. Does Dunham have speed? Yes. Does 10 pass have speed? Absolutely. This I don't think there will be a better individual. There name a better individual race and I'll call you a liar. Like this is going to be the show of the meet individually for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll analyze it later. I mean, let's move on to 2A. All right, in 2A, this is a wild class. Holy smokes. Let's start with the girls. Kyle, I didn't even know what to do here. You got to start with Mid Prairie. I don't know what's going on. Their top 2 runners haven't ran since early September, mid September, with Hostetler and Lundstrom. They got to get them back. If they don't get them back, they're not a contender. I don't think.
These other teams are too balanced to be without those two. Now,
yeah,
there was probably a lock meter next to Mid Prairie way early in the season, and maybe even on the preseason award or preseason rankings last year. But the way, especially PCM is running right now, West Marshall, I don't think was on very many people's radars to start the year. We'll get to your dark horse in a minute. Unity Christian, I can't figure out. I don't think I've ever been able to figure out Unity Christian, boys or girls.
Do they run in our state?
I don't know.
I mean, they do, but it's hard to find the results. Sometimes they might tempo, maybe they hold a kid out, but they're scary with Katie Young.
Right. Yeah. So
the only thing is Prairie City. So Prairie City last year, they were 7th. So they've got a little state meet experience. I don't think West Marshall qualified last year. That's a big hurdle for them going into this year. Now, several of their individuals qualified, but they're the number 1 team right now in 2A. Mid Prairie, obviously, sensational state meet last year. Lundstrom, Hostetler, Stutzman, who's been running as their number 1 from the majority of this month. She was 8th at the state meet last year, Kyle. So, I mean, if they get those 2 girls back, she was their number 3 last year and finished 8th at the state meet. If those 2 girls come back and they're anything like they were last year or earlier this season, they run away with the title.
You're probably right. And it's just crazy. A lot of these teams maybe call it unexpected to be where they are. And that's the beauty of especially 1A and 2A. But I'm intrigued. This class probably intrigues me the most with, what do these teams have? What's, the next 2 weeks are very, very important to, put on display who these teams have and what can they put out the next couple weeks.
And then the dark horse is the Van Meter Bulldogs. You saw them run tonight. They just haven't had their full lineup for a while. And I'm not sure they're going to get it back. So Van Meter's a dark horse, but I mean, I don't know where to go with this class because even if Mid Prairie doesn't get back, anyone can win. I mean, this is going to be, we could add 4 or 5 more teams to this list if Mid Prairie doesn't get back. Your thoughts on Van Meter?
You're spot on that. I would almost have just put no dark horses and put them in contenders, or just put all 5 of these teams in dark horse. But
just no contenders right now.
It's crazy.
Individually, I think Montgomery is the favorite heading in. She just looks really, really strong. She's won every race, Kyle, except the first one of the year in August. Um, but you've got Streck, the top returner, who's had some good outings this year, and then you've got the fabulous freshman in Mary Grace Lyons out of Monticello, which will throw a nice little intrigue into this race. Anxious to see what she looks like in the big moment with some of these upperclassmen. And then you can't forget about a sleeper in Scarlett Burns of Osage, veteran runner heading to Drake next year. Had a great season so far for Osage. Anything to add with those individuals? I think those four have really separated in 2A.
Yes.
Boys, I almost, this is going to sound crazy. I almost locked up Sheraton, and they're not even number one in the IATC rankings this week. But as you've told me many times, 1A and 2A are a different animal, and you just can't really ever lock these up because if something happens, there's a huge drop off. And if Sheraton doesn't have all five, then Forest City definitely becomes a player, and that's why they're a contender.
Right. And obviously this week, Sheraton didn't have Brent Crabb. I mean, their 7 hasn't raced since September 15th. Their 9 hasn't raced since September 4th. So I don't know what Coach Horton's got brewing down there, but especially you're right. If Brent Crabb is there and healthy and ready to rock, I don't see a team beating this team. Now you're exactly right. If he is out or any one of their top 5, this is a completely different ball game. But yes, healthy. I think Sheraton is still the slight favorite.
Dark horses, you can never count out Olwine. It's a tradition-rich program, the Huskies and Denver. But I do think there's a gap here as well, similar to the 4A girls. I just think Sheraton, if everything is good for Sheraton, I think they're a considerable favorite heading into this meet. Individually, it's Emerson Vokes. I never lock up an individual because, like you said, anything can happen. But 45-second win over Gomez, who's number 2 in a head-to-head just a week ago. I mean, I think he's a clear favorite.
Yeah, I think so. I won't be afraid to lock, and especially his biggest competition from last year moved up to 3A. So
Yeah.
I'll lock up Vokes right now.
You're going to go ahead and lock it up.
I will.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go to 1A, finish it out on what if the state meet was today. And this 1A girls class is shaping up to be like the 2A girls. And I sent these graphics in and I'm like, I don't even know. You could put several of these in different categories. You got Simpson on there again with Sioux Central. It looks just like the Simpson Storm logo. But right now it's Sumner Fredericksburg with Sydney Zupke and JC Snyder leading the way. They had a good win at Grundy last week. Not a real low stick in this Sumner Fred lineup, but a deep 1A team. Southwind, can never count them out. Every class has that team that you can never count out. Well, Southwind is that team in Class 1A girls. They're always going to be there when it matters. 4th last year. And of course, they have Hansen and Hegeman returning in their lineup for Southwind. Madrid, this is a team, I can't figure them out, Kyle. Runner-up last year, obviously the Branderhorst sisters and Grothus, 3 formidable deck contenders, top 15. They just haven't been able to get it going this year. And what did they drop to in this week's rankings? I mean, they keep going down. But I got to think they're a contender.
They are now only 2.
They did go to 2. Okay.
I might have pulled the wrong week.
But they've been kind of up and down in the rankings. They run a tough schedule. They're running against 2As and 3As quite a bit. But I see these 3 as kind of the teams as contenders. I don't know what you think. I think Sioux Central is a dark horse. I don't know. What do you think here?
I still think we don't know a lot about New Alfonda.
I couldn't put them down. right now. I mean, we
Correct.
we need
Like,
to see them at the conference meet and the state qualifying meet when they're fully loaded up.
right. Martinsdale St. Mary's has ran incredible this year, especially, like you talked about racing a hard schedule. I think Martinsdale St. Mary's does that too, like Madrid. Um, when you get in a smaller 1A meet, when there's going to be a lot of people in the meet that aren't scoring, I think that could be a huge advantage to a team like Martinsdale St. Mary's. So that would be my only additions in the dark horse section.
Yeah, because they could put 2 in the top 6 with Oberrender. Um,
Right.
yeah, that's a good one. They've been up as high as number 1 as well this year. It's just a
Right.
matter of how far their 4 and 5 are gonna score down the road.
Yep.
Individually, I think this is a lock,
Yes.
even though I said I wouldn't lock up an individual, but, I mean, I just don't think there's any way, and there's some good runners here with Chloe Glosser, notably of Pekin, but, Denton had a 30-second win last year over Glosser at the state meet. I'm going Denton.
Right. Yeah. Glosser has stepped up her game, running very well. It'd be awesome. It'd be cool to have a Drake Relays cross country meet
Mhm.
to see some of these kids stack up against each other in different classes. Because I don't think we'll get Denton to Central Iowa outside of Fort Dodge. So, but you're right. Lock for me too.
Boys, uh, almost went with 1 because I do think Riverside is the clear favorite right now. However, Ankeny Christian is very impressive, and, they ran really well tonight up at North Polk,
Mhm.
and you got to see him firsthand with Alex Davis leading the way. This is a really good Ankeny Christian's team. Riverside, Oakland, excuse me. Uh, they've got a really good top 5. Um, I just think if they are rolling, I don't think anyone can beat them. Lake Mills, I don't think you can ever count out a two-time defending champ, but I do think we might have 3 tiers here, Kyle, right now, but I do think it's safe to say they're all contenders still.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially like we talked about 1A, like these teams don't have the depth of these
No.
bigger programs. So uh you're spot on that Riverside's the favorite. And Ankeny Christian ran at North Polk tonight. Gilbert didn't run varsity. Des Moines Christian didn't run varsity. We didn't run varsity boys. So uh, I'm sure they weren't probably happy that that didn't happen, but they look still really strong in that meet. But I still lean Riverside as the favorite.
Earlham, the dark horse. Individually, I think it's gonna be a great race. Thompson and Rogney, obviously out of Lake Mills. You've got Nichols, who did not run this weekend up at Waverly. And then how about Hayden Veers out at Trice Center, the sophomore? I think you got to throw him in the mix. He's had a good year. Anyone else in that individual race that you see?
Maybe the Hendersons, but
Yeah,
uh,
they're going to be in the
I
team race battle.
I think there's a ton of guys. Aiden Summerfield of Woodbine's been running well.
Hmm.
Um,
Who has the head to head? Look this up as we move on. Who has the head to head between Summerfield and Weirs this year? Because they race against each other a lot. Tri Center and Woodbine. Kyle, the cool thing about this boys race is these teams, these individuals are all involved in the team battle, which is going to be fascinating to see with Lake Mills duo. Earlham is in the team mix. You mentioned the Oakland athletes. Alex Davis of Ankeny Christian is going to be in the team battle. So that's going to be fun. That always doesn't happen each year up there, and especially in the smaller classes.
so looks like Weirs has both head to heads, a 16 flat to a 1636 and a 1707 to a 1739.
Okay. Cool. All right, let's do some recaps and call it a night here on the Exchange Zone. We thank you so much for tuning in with us here on an off big Monday night. We get ready for a big week of meets too, most notably Fort Dodge and the MVC Super Meet in 4A. let's get some recaps in. And Kyle, you were at Wartburg, so we'll start with the big meet, the Dan Hudson Invitational in Waverly. I'm
I
gonna check and
I
make sure
actually
my computer doesn't die, by the way, so I might get up
all
here.
right. So I actually did not make Wartburg. I had 3 weddings this year, and all 3 happened to fall on this past Saturday. So I had a family wedding in Wisconsin, but did not make it. But definitely hot temps up in Waverly. But on the girls' side, just man, what a meet for Pleasant Valley and Pella. 44 points for the number 1 ranked 4A team by 12 over 3A's number 1 Pella. PV with 6 runners in the top 30. And I think they, I would say, defeated Pella with the battles at 3, 4, and 5. 2 outstanding teams for sure, and what a meet it was for both of them. Third was 3A's number 3, Mount Vernon Lisbon at 150. They were 36 ahead of number 9, Decorah, and 75 ahead of Williamsburg, who was ranked 16. And then a wild upset, I guess. Number 20, or I guess a lot of these teams, but number 20, Xavier taking down number 7, Solon by 2. Now, obviously, Decorah beat them, Williamsburg beat them, Xavier beat them. Solon still stayed pretty high in the rankings. I thought I checked and it looked like they had everybody, but I definitely could have had that wrong. But great team race up there, and that's a big field. So great job to all those schools. Individually, we talked about it a bit ago. Jolie Sullivan of Davenport Central with the 2-second victory over Marissa Fairby. They had a pretty big gap between them and third. Third was about 23 seconds back. So, again, outstanding race up at Wartburg from a lot of these teams. Anything else to add on the girls' side?
No, I mean, Pleasant Valley, it's a really good win. Pella's a regionally accredited program. You know,
Right.
they're one of the best teams, not only in Iowa, in the region. And Pleasant Valley wins, I wouldn't say easily, but they won, I would say comfortably. I mean, I don't think it was to the point where it'd go to a tiebreaker. So a really impressive showing for Pleasant Valley and a really
And
impressive showing for Pella.
right. And Pella was without their 4 Altwine. Like, how much does that swing? It's hard to factor that in.
Yeah, with
Um,
Pleasant Valley's depth, I'm not sure a lot. I mean, look at Pleasant Valley had all 7 girls were in the top 20.
yeah, scoring wise, yes, yep.
Yeah, scoring wise. But I was impressed with both schools, to be honest with you. I thought Decorah had a good day. Williamsburg had a good week. I'll touch on that in a little bit, but good stuff there,
Mhm.
Kyle. Individually, what a win for Jolie Sullivan. You know, she is a super talented athlete out of Davenport.
Absolutely. Anything else before they go to the boys?
No, let's go to the boys.
All right. How about let's start it with 4A number 1 Indianola putting up 70 points to win. I thought this team here, number 2 and 3A Pella, might have had the race of the day with 119 points to take third. There were a lot of 4A schools here, but I think it was a pretty big gap. Indianola, I guess, down to number 12, or excuse me, Pella was second. Cedar Rapids Kennedy third, about 30 ahead of number 20 Liberty. Thought they had a big day. 5 behind them is Davenport Central and Ankeny, both not ranked, taking down number 18 Linmar. Outside of Pella, who we've talked about a ton, big day for them. We talked about Clear Creek Amana, 8th. Well, I guess these rankings were before the ones came out today, but they were 8th in 3A. They were 10th in that meet, 8 ahead of number 4 Decorah. They also beat number 3 Mount Vernon Lisbon. Now, Mount Vernon Lisbon did not have Dawson Shy. It looked like he dropped out between 4K and 5K.
Mhm.
That's probably a 90-point swing for them with how good he's been running. Number 12 Storm Lake is 14th. They took our Blue Jays down by about 17 points. And then Assumption, number 18, was about 53 back of us. So just a cool meet. I wish I could have got there. I'm mad at my cousin for deciding to get married that day, but Individually, how about Dunham? Probably his best race of the year. 10-second victory over Decker and Johnson of Marshalltown, only 4 seconds back of him. Fourth place is Gutema at 15:21. So, again, what a meet individually. This one was very awesome. And then team-wise, especially on the 3A side, a lot of movement caused a lot of shakeup this week.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. First off, Indianola backed up, their early season meet. They've only raced twice coming into Saturday, and they proved that they were a legitimate threat to be a 4A champion. I do think Cedar Falls is the favorite right now, but I like how Indianola looks. Pella, you nailed it. I mean, this is an incredible day for Pella to come out and take down a really good Kennedy team, which we've talked a lot about this year. Um, how about Mason Galkey of Pella? What a performance by him in a meet like this at 15th with some really good runners in there. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, we're going to talk about, let's go to Williamsburg next. So at Williamsburg on Monday, Pella girls with the 48 point score there, Mount Vernon with 80. Pella did not run Fairby or Brenneman. Talk about a great week. Lizzie Vandervoort of Pella had a tremendous week. She finished fourth at Williamsburg, had a good weekend at Waverly. I think that bodes well for them going down the stretch here. How about Williamsburg? This is a team that transitioning up to 3A, really good program there. They had a really strong week as well. Channing Becker came into the week last week not ranked. She's now in the top 20 in Class 3A for Williamsburg. But that was a good meet. On the boys' side, it was Mount Vernon Lisbon taking down this Pella team. Now, they did some different things with their running style, but I know we exchanged texts after this one. I think this Mount Vernon, if everyone ran fully loaded on that night, it would have been extremely close. So that bodes well for Mount Vernon Lisbon when we get to the state meet. Obviously, did not go their way Saturday.
Right. And I think, Williamsburg's more of a normal size meet,
Yeah.
with the amount of teams compared to Wartburg at 35 teams, like points can just add up in a hurry at a meet like Wartburg. So, again, I don't know if we'll see those two face off against each other. I doubt it until the state meet. I don't think Mount Vernon would get sent to Pella, but anyway, so I still think that'll be a good battle there between those two teams down the stretch.
Yes, Pella Christian boys had a pretty good day at Williamsburg as well. And a good meet over there at Williamsburg. Beckman boys over Monticello. Then at Jesup, you had a couple comments there on Jesup. How about Center Point Urbana, the girls?
Yeah, best showing of the year by far. Winning that meet with 68 points, easily taking down. I know a lot of 2A, 1A schools, like Grundy Center was second. 1A number 1, Sumner Fred was third. Now they didn't have their 2 or their 6. Dyke, New Hartford, Jesup, Hudson, Wapsie Valley, Appleton, Parkersburg, MFL, all ranked in that field. So that's always a great meet up there at Jesup. And we saw on the boys' side, Denver beating Oline by 1.
What a race.
I think, in our eyes, it's probably a battle for that last podium spot between those two, as we just talked about with contenders, or dark horses, excuse me. But it looked like a pretty big drop off to the next team walk on.
Yeah. I mean, 1 point deciding between Denver and Oline. They run against each other all the time too. So pretty cool.
Oh, and Jesup did not have their 3 or 5 on the girls' side. So
yeah. What a meet that is. I saw a tweet or maybe a Facebook post of all the ranked teams and individuals. Just a phenomenal meet up there at Jesup. Let's go to Southeast Polk. And this is the one in the boys race where Dallas Center Grimes with another quality victory. This is a team that's putting it together at the right time. They always do. They take down Norwalk. Number 13, Norwalk. They're a Monday mover this week, Kyle. On the boys' side, by 3. Caleb Tenpass gets the victory over Tegan Kralik of Norwalk by 17 seconds. Norwalk is a dangerous team in 4A. I think they could be anywhere between 12 to 4. I think they've got some talent there, and I think they're a well-coached team that we've seen. There's so much movement in 4A. We don't count out City High either. This is a team that was preseason number 2, haven't had the full lineup all year long. Will they put it together here at MVCs and beyond? But there's so much that can happen in this 4A field. But this is a really good win for DCG at Southeast Polk. On the girls' side, which is on the screen, it was Waukee Northwest 33, avenging an early season loss to Dallas Center Grimes up at Marshalltown. They avenge it by 40. I don't think Northwest had their best stuff on this day either, and they're going to need to get better at some of their scoring positions if they want to have a chance to take down Pleasant Valley or Johnston, especially later in the year. But Lainey Sundet and Emmy Stubendek of Northwest, those 2 freshmen, were really good in this one again for the Wolves. And how about Messerly and Hydrikin of DCG? How about this race? How many freshmen were in the top 6 in this race? Was it 5 freshmen in the top 6?
I can look quick.
But Messerly gets the win. Her teammate from Grimes second. Hydrikin, just a really impressive showing by these freshmen on a, like I said earlier, very difficult course at Southeast Polk, one that has so many hills and is very rugged. But when you find that, I'm anxious to see. Obviously, Hydrikin's a freshman, Sundet's a freshman, Stubendek's a freshman, Schmitz of Norwalk was in that top 5 or 6. She's a freshman, so pretty impressive there at Southeast Polk.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, all freshmen.
2, 3, 4, and 5, all freshmen, led by Messerly for the win. Waukee had another nice showing there to lock up third. Washington. Here's a name we haven't talked a lot about this year, Kyle. Andrew Reese of Washington. It's a name we've mentioned in years prior for the Demons on the podcast here. He wins by 15 seconds over Jude Dykstra of Waco, who's having a great year. Don't forget, Andrew Reese of Washington was 13th last year at the state meet. So he was an all-state performer, and he's having a nice year down there in Southeast Iowa. And then, Kyle, this girls' race was sensational. Avery Rump of Fort Madison, 1845. Iris Dahl, another name we haven't mentioned a lot this year out of Washington. She was second at 1914. And Addison Dabrowski, another name we haven't mentioned a lot of out of Marion, was third at 1933. So some really high caliber runners. It was cool to see that Waco team go up against some bigger schools in Southeast Iowa. And here's a team I'm sure you've kept your eye on as a 3A coach. That Fort Madison boys team looks sneaky. They're at number 14. What do you think of them? I think they're really good, especially in their top 4. They put 4 in the top 8 of this race.
Yeah, I think, starting to get hot at the right time is probably the right words for them. It's this is like this is the second, the week we're talking about. It's the second to last week to kind of make your move. Mm-hmm. This current week's probably the last chance you're going to get to, swing anything with the rankings or the committees or the association or the union. So big week coming up for sure.
Then quickly in Nevada, we already mentioned briefly, it was West Marshall getting that 50-57 win over Prairie City Monroe. That was number 3 versus number 8 at the time. Van Meter, number 2, was third with 66 points. So we had big 3 matchup there at Nevada. Addie Thompson's running so well for West Marshall. Kyle, their top 3, they go sophomore, freshman for West Marshall. And then Abby Teeter, I think it is, of Prairie City Monroe. She's had a really good year for them. Outside of that, on the boys' side, non-ranked PCM wins with 57 points. 51 points. Kyle, they're ranked 10th in the ccratings.com. Non-ranked going into this week. Where did they move in this week's rankings for Prairie City Monroe boys? Or
They
yeah,
are
on IA track coaches.
17.
Okay. So 10th in the cross country ratings index, 17th by the IATC. All right. You've got the Bud Williams and then a few quick hits and we're done.
Yeah, good meet again. Prairie Boys go 1, 2, and 3 to win that meet. 7 points ahead of number 8 Senior. 2 behind them is number 10 PV. So a very locked race. 18 back of them is number 7 City High. Now no McDowell, and then McRoberts, who's normally around their number 1, was their number 7. So again, you talked about a couple minutes ago about City High. If they can put some things together here, obviously right in the mix with a lot of these number 3, number 8, and number 10 ranked teams. Obviously, they're currently ranked number 7. Hempstead, they were 16th, they are ranked number 16, 18 more back of City High. They didn't have their current number 5. And then we talked about Pekin taking down Waco. Waco did not have their number 1. Girls, individually, I thought it was a great race with Izzy Harden. The 6-second victory over Chesterman. 4 seconds back of her is Glosser. 4th place in this meet is Abigail Burns. So just individually, very, very impressive meet. And then team-wise, it was number 5 City High by only 2 over number 7 Senior. And number 11 Prairie is 3rd.
Good stuff there, Kyle.
All right, should we quick hit it?
Quick hit it.
All right, so some quick hits from the week was on the girls, Ultra Aurelia, number 16, taking down 12 Sibley Ocheyedan. We talked about Riverside, number 1 boys over Ankeny Christian, 25-42. Number 11 in 3A, MOC Floyd Valley girls, taking down number 4 Unity Christian by 9. Now, again, these rankings that I'm using were from the previous week. Number 5 Sioux Center also beat that number 13 MOC Floyd Valley team by 18. 39 behind them is 2A number 5, now number 2 Unity Christian. Now they didn't have their number 2. Drew Cundy, the freshman for Sioux Center. I think he's been their difference maker. They returned a solid lineup. They brought in some outstanding freshmen. Obviously, Drew Cundy being one of them. Matthew Dom, the sophomore. Sioux Center running very well, but Drew Cundy leading the way for them. Heston Hinders of Garner Hayfield. How about the 8th grader running 11:10 for a nearly 2-minute victory? Theo Tollickson for Dowling, 10 minutes and 24 seconds. Holden Bill, 10 minutes 41 seconds for Cedar Falls, both 7th graders. And then Jack Vonneheim of Ankeny, 10:51, all 3 of those at the Ames Middle School meet. And then finally, a great race over at Perry, number 2 Des Moines Christian by 22 ahead of number 6 Winterset. 24 back of them is number 8 Ballard. And then only 1 behind them is number 14 ADM.
All right. This week coming up, we've got some big meets. On Tuesday, we'll head to Fox Ridge Golf Course for the Wolverine Invitational. That should be a good one. And then, of course, on Thursday, you've got the big matchups in 4A with the Fort Dodge meet. And some 3A and 2A schools are also attending Fort Dodge. Get a preview of that state meet course. And then the MVC Super Meet is actually at Kickers Park this year, Kyle. So in Iowa City, not the fastest course. I'm anxious to see what that will look like for the MVC schools. On Thursday as well, Central DeWitt with a big meet. And then, of course, out in Western Iowa, we've got the Atlantic meet at Nishna Hills. And the last one that I have down was, that might be it. Trying to look at my notes here. I think that's it. So, yeah, there you go. Anything else?
Go.
We made
big meet or big meet, big week,
big Monday here.
I know. What day are we next week?
We're back to Sundays for the rest of the season. So 7:30. I will be remote next weekend. We got the boys trip, so I'll be remote on Sunday night, and we'll have a really good episode planned for you. And we thank you so much, as always, for following along and making us a part of your weekly tradition, I guess, in the cross country, and our goal is just to continue to spread the word of our sport and how great it is, and how great our athletes and coaches are across the state. On the screen there, if you would, keep subscribing or following us. We're putting out those short clip videos each week, and those have been a really big hit as well. Share those. The more we can get the word out, the better that our sport can continue to grow, which is ultimately the goal here in Iowa. So, with that, on a very cold and rainy night here in Des Moines, I can still hear the rain hitting the building. We thank you for tuning in. Best of luck the rest of this week. Put a jacket on here, especially the next couple days, and enjoy this fall weather. And we'll be back in 6 days on Sunday night on the Exchange Zone. Have a great week, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you Sunday night.